All right, so in the last example, we added a button and we started messing around with the properties of the button. We called the button submit button. So we were right about to here when I was looking at the text, right? So the button text, I'm just going to say submit on the button. I could say whatever I wanted to. Let's see what happens if I delete everything. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there's nothing on the button then. So let's just say submit. All right, so when I click that, something should happen eventually, but we'll worry about that later. The text alignment, if I want my button, everything text aligning left, we'll keep it in the center. Okay. Text color, I wonder what it'll look like with white. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll start with that. All right, so we've played around with some of the button properties. We're eventually going to click it and watch something happen. If I wanted to like drag this and put it beneath the button, I can move these components around, click on the submit button, and you notice all the properties change. So remember, all the properties of a component always show up here on the right. But if I wanted to drag it, see this blue underline, like it's like right there above the submit button. Notice I'm dragging it, and you notice the blue underline starts at the top there and then falls down there, top, bottom, top. That shows me where I'm going to drag and drop this. So from a design standpoint, it's where you want it. I'm going to put the submit button on top because I'm also going to add a text box on here. Now, a text box is something that the user can type in. So like they can like click in here and type something. So if you're like asking them a question, right? So we went ahead and dragged this text box in here. I'm going to put this up here. And instead of it saying Josh, I'm going to say, what is your name? Right? So, and then instead of first name label, I'll just say ask name label. I just feel like that makes more sense, right? We haven't named our text box yet, and I'll rename it. You want the component name to be specific so that way you don't lose track of it. So I'll say user name. All right. And once again, if you want to look at the properties of it, let's just fill parent like the other ones were not for the height, for the width. Fill parent. And then we're going to, anything else you want to add? Hint. You know how like something usually shows up in the text box, like type this. Let's say your name here. Perfect. But the text, we're not going to put any text in there. The user is going to eventually enter the text. If I were to type something in there, right, it would show up, and the user would click in there, and all that text would still be in there, and they would have to delete it before they entered anything. So we want that blank. Okay, the hint pops up, and will eventually say, like, enter your name here. We haven't actually tested our app yet because we haven't made it do anything. That's the main reason. But when we start testing it, you'll see in the emulator or the device, if you hook it up that way, it will show up then.